My name is Sanjay. I think I'm in trouble. Dato put together a diving suit using a bike and an old diving helmet. Dato put weights in it to go down, but he put in too much. Now if I leave, then no one will pump air to Dato using the bike. If I'm thrown in jail, this is proof I'm innocent. Dato Scientific Journal, Underwater Caches. Sanjay ran off crying as soon as they dragged me out. Very unprofessional. There's lots of debris underwater. I couldn't get anything out though. Sad. Pa forbade me from doing any more experiments. I think he's just angry because Ma got sick. Dr. Henry said she'll be okay. So it's okay.
Greetings, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Welcome back to my Raft series. Had to stop and think there for a minute. It's been rather a long day today, just a minor aside. This is the same Sunday of which 1 a.m. I was streaming with Oladino. So anyway, that's kind of where my voiceover fits into the history of the universe. Anyway, we are here in Raft. We are back at the Caravan Island, and we are bolting around the place, grabbing all the bibs and bobs and all of that other good stuff that we want from here. But first, why is there always a bird? So maybe for this episode, get your heavyweight anti-bird helmet on.
And
let's get the show on the
Monster
road.
Investigation. There's a stranger in town called Olaf something. Pa keeps going to his meetings. No kids allowed. But at night, I got Sanjay to help me sneak onto the stranger's ship. Thought maybe he had some medicine for Ma, but Olaf's boat was just filled with cages. In the cages were big rats and a very large hyena. They were so angry. Sanjay found notes talking about feeding and training them into his personal army. Sanjay thinks Olaf might be a bad guy. I think I agree.
Alright, the bird is officially annoying the hell out of me at this stage. Well, to be honest, it was annoying me the hell out of me from the first moment I heard it screeching as it flew over this island dropping headache bombs. But this time, as we've demonstrated in a previous episode, yep, we are capable of taking down a bird. Now, this isn't just a generic screecher, it's got some special name for it, so I was actually concerned it was going to take a lot of arrows to take it down. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, which was actually a very pleasant surprise. I thought it was going to be a bit of a mama bear kind of exercise where there's got to be some other way of taking it down. I've done Caravan Island, I think twice before in different run-throughs, but it's been a long time since I've done them. I could barely remember the vague layout of this place, and in all my memory, I still don't remember this bird being here, so I don't know if it was a late addition or whether I just didn't have, psychological issues with these birds with my previous run-throughs. Not sure. Probably a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B, I'd say. But we're sort of deep in like an artificial ravine here. And the bird's doing the trick of the bombers of old, which is to come out of the sun. Except that's doing him a bit of a disservice because it means he's flying straight at me from high above. So, it was extremely easy to wait for the opportune moment and stick an arrow in him, or two or three. And so we were able to dispatch Mr. Executive Birdie Num Nums and get on with our explorations. Now, this episode is a culmination of, I'm going to say, I think this was about an hour and a half's worth of footage. I was actually struggling to find some bits and pieces on this island because of where I landed. Like, normally I expect to land here at this dock because that's like the logical starting point on the island. And I've sort of landed over the backside of the island, which has added a bit of messing around to my usual sort of search route. But now we've made it over to this dock, we can start working through all of the puzzles and things that we need to do on this lovely island.
Deto's scientific journal. Classified. Ma says I should write down what I think to make it stick, so I write. Caravan Town is a rock sticking out from the water. It has good land to raise pigs to eat. We can fish, grow vegetables. Only downside are the hyenas, but they are usually friendly. We came here on a boat with half the rest of Jakarta. They let us stay because Ma is smart and Pa is good at welding. They say I'm just another mouth to feed. But I'll show them. See, the problem is, the water is rising, right? What if we just take away the water? Deto's scientific journal. Top secret. Sanjay says the water pump idea doesn't work because there isn't enough space in the well for all the water. Also, the neighbors complain about getting salt in their cups. They complain because they have no patience for science. I asked Pa why we can't fly to another planet without all this water. Pa just laughed. But Sanjay showed me some pictures that gave me a great idea though. Good man, Sanjay.
Alright, I'm very much going to be fast forwarding through my explorations of this Caravan Island. Pretty much everything that I've cut out at this stage is just a lot of repetitive going from generic caravan to generic caravan, opening, a drawer, a cupboard, a wardrobe, finding bits of loot in the bottom of said items, and then moving on to the next caravan. So most of that I've trimmed out, except where you can see a little bit of, exploration or notes or things of that nature. Now, apologies, this is, look, even in the edit, this isn't particularly clear. This is probably something in retrospect that I should have just waited until daytime to do this particular little puzzle, but it is what it is. So, I've done what I can to lighten it up. Now, what we need to do is, well, we need to stop falling through that hole. That's probably a good thing to consider at this stage. But the thing that we've got to try and work out is we've got this water pump, and you pump it, and it sends water out of this hose into that hose and through a few more hoses. And you need it to go into a well. Now the well is kind of tucked away in here. We'll get back to it in a minute. The reason why we want this water to go into this well right here is there's one of the mission items for the island is sort of attached to a bit of wood, and if we can raise the water level in the well, then it'll float up and it'll get within reach for us to be able to pick that up and move on. Now, in terms of other mission things that we're looking for, and of which we've already picked up one, is we're looking for these sort of broken wiry looking things on the ground. They are parts of the battery charger. There's a bench that we'll come across later. It's one of these, you need this many items when you interact with the bench, and that will then give us the battery charger blueprint once we've completed that. This other one that we've just done with the well is for the zip line. So we've completed that. We're now having a reasonably successful go at collecting bees. There are actually a few bees on this island. There are a couple of animals. There are a couple of aggressive animals, and of course there is the fancy screecher that we have to also protect our head from. That said, though, we've already dealt with the screecher, and the screecher, even for the... I think I was here for a total of, I'm not going to lie, probably 5 or 6 raft days. This was spread across 2 sessions and about 2.5 hours worth of recording. Admittedly, there was a bit of time sort of AFK for various things because I was recording on the weekend when I like to, do all my other domestic stuff. So I did cut a bit of that out, but that was probably maybe half an hour of that. So probably about 2 hours worth of progress in across 2 recordings.
Dato's adventure journal. Pa says we have to go. Ma is getting sicker, and I heard that strange man Olaf shouting orders. I saw them rounding up all the hyenas in cages. Sanjay is helping separate the rafts from the rocks. I asked Dr. Henrik about Ma. He looked sick too. Told me to avoid the pigs. And Olaf. Sanjay says he's scared. Smart man, Sanjay.
Yes, quite a bit of plot thickening going on in the background there. A few quite familiar names from some of the other mission locations that we have visited. We're just stopped here for a bit of a clean out before we pick up another very nice crate. Unfortunately, it gave us a recipe that we already have, but yeah, it's alright. That tends to happen a fair bit. You never need more than one though, so you can always toss those away if you don't need them. In the meantime, the exploration continues.
Sailing as one, the raft towns of Indonesia. The flooding of Jakarta has led to escaping locals creating interconnected rafts as they make their way to land. We just make do, said Pucci Reyes, one of the earlier adopters of these raft towns, when inquired by one of our reporters about their living conditions. Drifting largely on sea currents, they appear to be growing at a steady rate, raising considerable concerns with coastal authorities. A maritime hazard in the making, the foreign minister stated this morning in a public address. Despite these concerns, many believe raft towns could very well be a viable alternative. Recent rumours surrounding the construction of sanctuary towers in the southern hemisphere has only increased tensions. We sought a comment from the local government.
Speech to the rafters, 17th of May. 5th draft. Why do you think I, Olof Wilkström, left that corrupt city? Because they refused to let regular working class folk on board. I was appalled. Why should the elite get to escape the apocalypse? They should be forced to share their luxury. Who should force them? That's right! The greatest rafters in this new southern sea! You! Take Tangaroa! Take back your future!
Okay, yeah, that's pretty much what we expect out of that fella these days. Yeah. So this is a very three-dimensional island, this one, and we're at the point where I feel like I'm sort of recovering ground that I've already covered, but then I found this place, which obviously from the fact that there are still bees floating around, we still have a little bit of work to do. So we're going to get on with that, and we're going to find what other little treasures we can get from from these other bits that we've missed. And I definitely know at this stage there's one place which in retrospect was bleedingly obvious, but it was where the last piece of the battery charger is. And yeah, I was racking my brain because by then I was well into my second session, and I was thinking, where's the location for that last bit of battery charger cable? Where is it? And I'd forgotten some of the places where I'd got the first pieces, and yeah, there was a lot of running around. I probably wasted 30 to 40 minutes just on that, but don't worry, I am going to ensure that you are not subject to the same 30 or 40 minutes of me running around in circles, successfully not finding anything for 30 or 40 minutes. So yeah, you're welcome. Anyway, we've got a few other areas to canvas here for materials. There's quite a few crates on Caravan Island, and quite a few of them are in places that you might see it from a distance, but when you get closer it might be a bit hard to work out how to get there. That's because quite a lot of these locations, the easiest way and the best way to get to them is via a zip line. And of course you don't get to do that until you actually get the zip line tool, but you can get it, so as long as you are, you don't miss too much.
Dato's experiment journal, attempt 733. Pa helped me weld the rocket together, and Sanjay borrowed some fireworks to get it started. Pa had to apologize to everyone for the explosion. I don't get it. It was just a test. What an overreaction. They would have taken my tools if Sanjay hadn't helped me put out the fire. Good helper, Sanjay.
Alright, if you're planning on doing this yourself, a little side note, before you come up here, make sure you've got one explosive powder on you because you need it to activate that rocket. It drops a thing on top of the little spire of rock here, which we are trying to jump up on at the moment. Some of these jumps are a little bit finicky, or I was getting very tired by the time I got to this stage. I'm going to say it's probably a bit of both. But there's some nice loot to be had over here, and there is an item and some bits and pieces up on top. So we're going to work our way up there now, and yeah, we'll see what's waiting for us up there. Alright, well we found Major Tom, and we'll avoid any sort of references there to any of the lyrics. But suffice to say, he seemed to be in one piece, so we've got that as an item now, and we're going to pop that down on our raft here in a moment. We've come back here just to unload a few of our goodies, including our little Major Tom figurine here. He's quite a cute little fellow when you look at him. We're going to pop him over here next to the scrap mechanic duck, and yeah, having a bit of a look at some of the other things. We've found 2 items of food, of which I don't think we've got the recipes for either of those two. I forgot to actually check. But they're finished dishes, not the actual recipes, unfortunately. But they will still come in handy at some point. We've just unlocked the blueprint in our research table. And you could probably throw those blueprints away. I don't think they serve any other purpose, but I tend to hang on to them anyway. Now, we've moved on to, just to try and get a bit more progress going here, we've moved on to the below the waves aspect of this particular island. Now, we got a lot to do down here, and you don't have to have the air tank to do this because there's some air bubbles along the way. But I'm going to make a very, very, very healthy recommendation that you bring an air tank with you, because it comes in handy. And we're not going to have to wait very long to find out why it comes in handy. Yeah, there's a pufferfish down here. And you might think, well, why do we need an air tank just to help deal with pufferfish? Well, it's not the only one. There is a lot of pufferfish down here. And not only that, the pufferfish actually respawn, which is something I wasn't aware of until I pretty much got to this point, because I killed every pufferfish I could find on my way down. And here's one of these air bubbles I was talking about. I killed every pufferfish on my way down, and did the thing that we need to do at the bottom. And then on my way back up, they were starting to respawn. So, make sure you've got a fairly healthy bow. In fact, I had a whole bow and about a quarter of a bow in terms of durability, and I ended up pretty much wearing out both by the time I got back to the surface, just from all the pufferfish that I had to kill. So if you want to be safe about this and you think you're going to be taking your time, honestly, I think I'd carry 2 brand new bows for this, because I think you're potentially going to need them. I don't know how farmable these pufferfish would be. I mean, if you want to hang around long enough, if they keep respawning, I don't know if that, keeps going forever, or whether this was just a few random ones that maybe they were just on my way down. It's not respawns. It might be that they were just hiding in a nook or a cranny. But I'm pretty sure, based on their positioning, that they are respawns. In which case, I honestly don't know if you could just keep going up and down and up and down, killing pufferfish like all day, and getting a whole bunch of pufferfish heads and explosive goo. It's an interesting thought, but I'm not planning on sort of blowing up the world here, so I think I'll just settle for, killing the ones that I needed to kill, and then just, moving on with my day. Alright, and we finally reached the bottom, and that's the things that we need down here. So the blueprint for the metal detector. Look, we're going to go into that one in a lot more detail in a future episode, but for now, that is where you find the blueprint. And we found a piece of the whole zipline tool puzzle. And we also found our lovely collection of pufferfish down here. Now, there is a smattering of ores around the sides of these canyons. I did sort of go and grab a few here and there, but as you can see, my hook is pretty worn down. So we're only going to get a handful. And, oh, surprise, I thought I was in the clear, and I reckon that's the first of the pufferfish that had respawned on my way back up. So, because he did surprise me a little bit. I didn't see him anywhere. I started picking up 2 bits of iron ore, and then before I knew it, that little fella was almost on top of me. So, yeah, anyway, that's something to watch out for. They're really hard to see in the dark, so I probably wouldn't do what I did. I'd be waiting until early in the morning before I set off to come down here, because it does take a while to do all of it, so you're going to want to give yourself a bit of time. But by the same token, you are, you're not going to want to take forever. Because these sneaky little sods, when it gets dark, they are really hard to see. Anyway, we also went through a set of swim fins, and we did actually wear out our air tank as well. So there is a lot of swimming and a lot of reloading of your air supply. As I said, having an air tank is a bit of a bonus. If you're confident in your swimming and not suffocating yourself or drowning yourself in water, then you could probably get away with not having the air tank. But the air tank just gives you a bit more breathing room, no pun intended, and it makes it just a bit easier to get around without having a panic attack about where the next air bubble is. So yeah, just an FYI really. Anyway, we've adequately finished below the waves there. Now, we don't bother doing a lap of the island here. I kind of goofed there a bit. I'll do more on that in the next chapter of this, because we don't finish all of this in this episode. There's probably another hour's worth of footage I'm going to have to chop down. I expect that's probably going to end up being a shorter episode, and that'll be the next episode after this one. So stay tuned for that. But as far as Caravan Town, I'm going to say probably 85% of the content of Caravan Town, we do cover it as part of this episode. So yeah, there was a lot of double searching and things that were going on in that next episode. So yeah, it won't surprise me if I end up cutting it down to about 20 minutes, but we'll see how we go. In the meantime, we have come across the pigs on this island. Now, these pigs are kind of annoying because they do like a 180, which is like a 180 turn, and they tend to get you when you're up on rocks. So I took a bit more damage doing these than I kind of banked on, but yeah, we kind of do okay. I'll let you be the judge. Alright, we've made it to the infirmary. Now, there is some really useful stuff here, not the least of which is these healing salves, and I've got to say, that was pretty well timed. Anyway, we're here. Now, one thing I forgot to mention, when we're right down in the bottom of the water there scuba diving, we also got the infirmary key, which we need to be able to get in here.
It's been 3 days, stuck in the shack, sick as a dog. I don't think I can treat anyone in my condition, and these people know it. I asked them to leave me here. It's the pigs. For weeks they've acted erratic. I've been blind to it. I didn't even notice the butchers getting sick. It all started when Olaf Wilkstrom arrived, and I do not see it as a coincidence.
Ooh. Okay, so people getting sick, pigs making them sick, but the pigs were here for a long time and the people were here for a long time, but that all changed when old mate Mr. Olaf showed up. Yeah, he's got some things to answer for, I think, that fella. But yeah, that's enough on that for a while. Now that we've got some health back, we're going to take care of this last piggy and see if we can do some more looting and getting some more nice stuff. Ooh, that's nice. So we've got another blueprint there. We've also got the location for the coordinates for the next location, which is Tangaroa. What we don't have, that's what I alluded to at the start of the episode, what we don't have is all of the pieces for the battery charger, because I've missed one somewhere. That's alright, we'll get caught up with that one in the next episode, but for the moment we're just going to push on and see what else we can achieve as part of this episode. Well, what we achieve as a part of the rest of this episode is a bit of fat loots in the form of that chest, a bit of looking around and trying to remember where I missed picking that last piece of the battery charger up from, and most importantly, we've achieved the end of this episode. So if you've enjoyed it, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and to consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Until next time, my name is Rudimentary Rob. Thank you very much for watching, and make sure you have yourself an absolutely fantastic day.